episode of the Embodying Excellence Podcast. I'm your host, Carlo, and I'm here with Brenden today. Brenden, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Good, man. Good. It's been another big week in the books. I am looking at travelling overseas in the next few months, and I've got a big weekend up at the Central Coast ahead. What's going on with you?
Just the usual stuff, getting in the grind.
That's
training and eating well and sleeping well and...
That's it. We live and breathe it, man.
Yeah.
We live and breathe. I know I haven't lately, and it's showing. And it's one of those things that we're going to talk about today, which is overcoming obstacles.
Yeah.
And I must say, like, a lot of the time when we talk about obstacles, like, what are obstacles? Like, that's a really important question to ask, because sometimes our obstacles that we perceive as obstacles are often excuses. And so when you go, hey, I can't physically do this, or there's some limitation that denies me doing this particular thing, or some skill that doesn't cater for me in getting this particular thing done, that would be an actual obstacle where a lot of the time, and myself included, have gone, oh, hey, you know what, like, I gotta walk to the gym. And walking to the gym is like a 20-minute walk, and I've got a bunch of things to do, and I don't want to walk to the gym. Like, that's not an obstacle. That's an excuse. Like, if I set up the time to actually allocate for the walk there and back to the gym, the training session, then I go and get the training session done. I walk there and back from the gym, I have my phone charged, I listen to my music, and I go to the fucking gym. Not, oh, this is just another obstacle in my way. I gotta go and walk to the gym. Oh, my phone's not charged. All this, all that. And I know that's what I've been doing. Like, and so that's not an obstacle. That is just blanket, hey, you're not fucking doing what you need to be doing, and you need to be better. And so I have conversations with that, like myself sometimes, and I'm sure you've had conversations in the past, like that with yourself. And what would you say that overcoming obstacles is?
Well, I think it's all to do with what you deem as an obstacle, like you've touched on, as well as just getting that inner grit and getting rid of that inner bitch voice, like having the boss voice overpower that. Like, for example, this morning, I've done my outdoor ruck, and I've got having done 75 hard and that, like, I didn't have to do it, and it was pissing down rain. Those are the little sort of tests that you get, and sort of an obstacle as such, because it was like torrential rain, and you sort of sometimes think, oh, fuck, I can wait until a bit later. It might not be raining then, but you do it anyway, because conditions aren't always going to be ideal. So it's about getting over them hurdles and doing it anyway. And then by doing those things and overcoming that sort of small obstacle, then you feel a lot better about yourself, and you've actually achieved said thing.
I think that distinction needs to be made between obstacle and excuse, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, if someone went for a run and running meant that you just had to go outside, move your legs in a fast way, that would just be running. Has nothing to do with what the weather is like outside, has nothing to do where you are. As long as you're outside and you're moving your legs really quickly, you are running. Then there comes the point of, oh, I don't want to get wet. I want the terrain to be flat. I want all these different things so that then in my mind, I can go out and I can run. Like you said, the conditions aren't going to be perfect.
Yeah.
That isn't an obstacle. That's an excuse. Right.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, with myself, I ran an ad, right? And I created some footage with a mate of mine, and the footage was absolutely horrible, right? It made me look like the fattest piece of fucking shit, right, that ever existed, right? But at the same time, in my mind, I'm also going, I could be in better shape, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. doesn't really project a good image, this and that. I just posted the ad anyway. And so the ad came back and I got some fucking trolls, right? Where they just went, oh, you missed the gym. Oh, bro skips gym day. Oh, why are you giving a video on how to lose weight when you look fat yourself? Yada, yada, yada. You know what? Like, they're right. But also at the same time, like, I'm also going, well, I didn't post before because that's what I was worried about. Now that I have it, I'm going, this? Really? This is all I was worried about? And so I can use this as a marketing piece anyway. Because even though I don't look my best, I know that I'm preparing for a powerlifting competition and I need to be able to eat as much as possible. Meanwhile, trying to help others lose weight. Like, two different goals. And so, but with that being said, I can also use this as a marketing piece so that then when I am back to my cut and losing the weight like I advertise, then I can just use that as a way to go, oh, well, I posted this ad before. I looked like shit because I was doing a different thing, but I did what I said, I did what I advertised, and this is what I got, right? And so it can. This is just like a stepping stone into getting where I need to go. But as I said, like, if I just use that as an obstacle where I go, oh, hey, you know what, people are saying this about me and this is what's happening, yada, yada, and I use that as a reason to not post on the internet or to not do what I'm already doing, that's not overcoming an obstacle. That's just excusing myself going, well, you know what, someone else said something, so it determines what I do. Which is ridiculous. Where if I need to post on the internet and I don't have any Wi-Fi, that is beyond my control. And so that is a physical obstacle that I cannot overcome until I find somewhere with a reliable source of Wi-Fi so that then I can post on the internet. But if I'm not posting because I'm insecure about myself or I'm scared of what other people are going to say on the internet, that's not an obstacle. That is, hey, I need to be working on me and figure out what's going on in my mind so that then I can overcome this perceived obstacle that I'm using as a validation for not doing the thing. Which is exactly what your example was, where you went to do the ruck. You go, oh, I've done 75 hard, don't really need to do it today, but hey, you know what? I've done it for 580 so days or however long you've done it. Why stop today? And then you go again. And so are you really overcoming obstacles, or are you just creating fucking obstacles because you're bored? And then at the same time, because you don't think much of yourself, so then when you don't get the thing done, you go, oh, hey, you know what, it wasn't really that big of a deal anyway, I didn't really want to get it done. Which is bullshit. Because if you got it done, dude, you'd be telling everybody that would listen, hey, I did this fucking thing. But because you didn't do it, you set yourself up to fail, you didn't prepare, and then instead of going, hey, you know what, I fucked this up, I messed this up, you went, oh, you know what, too many obstacles. Oh, you know what, I couldn't get it done this time. You know what, there's always next time. It's like, why did you invest all of that time, all of that energy, for then at the end just for you to say, oh, hey, you know what, there's always fucking next time, right? That's not overcoming obstacles. They're not even obstacles. You're just talking shit about yourself. And so real obstacles are things that are beyond your control, that inherently are in the way of you doing a certain thing. But then again, what you think about and then what you do with what you think about will then determine the level of success that you get. So the real question is, are there really any obstacles in your way? Likely, no. That's as concise as I can get, because obstacles are often perceived. That's all they are.
Well, there are sort of days that you could see as test days where you feel as though there's not everything going your way, but they're the days, it's a test, essentially. It's all in the word. So if you push past them days and get what you need to get done, what you set out to yourself that you'll get done, despite all the factors that come up, what can stop you?
That's right. That's absolutely right. And a lot of the times we let our moods dictate what we do, when in reality it's the plan that should dictate what we do, right? I think the Hormozis say it best, fuck your mood, follow the plan. right? And so if you have a plan in place, follow the plan. And so I know that I haven't followed plans, and I'll openly admit that, because the thing is, I can't just sit here and say, hey, follow the plan, when it's quite clear that I haven't followed plans. And so, but from a person that has followed plans as well as hasn't followed plans, I always say follow the plan, because a lot of the time your mood will dictate how you're feeling in the moment. And in the moment has nothing to do with the plan, because your plan is moment to moment decisions and moment to moment actions. And so if your moment to moment decision and action contradicts the plan, then what was the plan for in the first place? If you're just going to tarnish the plan either way. Are you just making a plan so you can tell other people that you have a plan to do X, Y, Z, but then you're never going to really do it anyway? Like, just tell everybody that you don't want to do it. Right? Or just say, hey, you know what, like, I have this ambition, but for whatever reason I no longer have it, and I'm going to take a break. And so sometimes it's just hard for people to quit. And then they just go, hell, hey, you know what, I'm holding on to hope, I'm holding on to this idea. And that's great. Like, having resilience is fantastic. But then if it goes against how you feel, and it goes against the things that you believe in and the things you're willing to do, then why have it? Why have it if you're just going to create walls and walls and walls and call them obstacles, and then not really do anything at all? Like, and so if you're going to set something out, have a plan, calculate how things are going to work, consider mitigating circumstances where things aren't going to go as expected, because things don't get as expected, which again, what we call obstacles, actual obstacles, because oftentimes the only obstacles we have are unexpected circumstances, where everything else are just mental obstacles that we create, so that then we love that feeling of fixing a problem when we have organized chaos. Because finding peace is really not just adding more shit, it's taking shit away until you have nothing left to take away. Then you don't really have any obstacles, where if you go, well, I want to do this with my business, or I want this in my relationship, or I want my girlfriend to do that, or I want my boyfriend to do that, and all these different things now are all just collectively in place as wants and desires. They either do get met or they don't get met, and for whatever reason they do or don't get met is because of obstacles that people perceive as obstacles, which aren't really obstacles. If you said the truth in the first place, obstacles wouldn't arise. You'd just be saying to yourself, hey, look, this is the situation. Here's what I'm willing to do. Here's how it's going to happen. And then you go and do it. There wouldn't be any obstacles there in the first place.
No, there wouldn't be. And a lot of time you use those obstacles as perceived obstacles as an excuse to justify work that you haven't put in.
Oh, big time. And I've done it for years.
Yeah.
Like, I won't deny that at all. Like, I've done it for years with my money, with my body, with my relationships, all of it. And now just getting older, meeting more people, doing different things, seeing different places, I've come to that realization where you know when you're full of shit. And when you're full of shit, you do everything in your power to make sure that no one else knows you're full of shit, right? But everyone else knows you're full of shit. You just don't know that everyone else knows. And so you put up all these walls where people go, oh, so what's happening with, let's say it's a business. Well, so what's happening with the business? And you go, oh, you're doing this and this and this and this and this. Really, you aren't. You've got a concept of a plan, but you don't actually have a plan that you're actively following. And so, well, why don't you have a plan that you're actively following? Oh, because of this and because of that. I'll give you a great example. With meal prep, I'm a bit antsy about meal prep because I like to eat. And so being able to eat freely versus eating on a meal plan, I feel constricted. And what happens is, like, I do a job right now, but I never always had a job. And so when I was poor and I didn't have a lot of money, right, I'd just buy what was readily available for me in that moment. And so a lot of this long-term thinking and long-term planning wasn't a thing for me because I was always wondering where that next dollar was going to come from, or I was wondering when my next meal would be. And so knowing that, hey, you know what, things are okay and I can buy food now every week, like I'll have that food, but then I'll go fucking eat out too. And I'm just going, that's not the way to live. And like, I'm doing one thing, but then also doing another thing, and it doesn't work. And so like, as a person who does now meal prep and actually does follow plans, it's much easier just to follow a plan. Like just this chaos of eating out and doing all different things, it's not sustainable. And like I said, I know that because now with the job that I've just got, I've fallen back into those habits where I'm not sure whether the job will be satisfying, or where I go, I don't know how long I'm going to stay, how the business is going, and all these different things. Like, I've got some shit that I need to sort out. Like, that's just the truth. And so, knowing that, instead of me going, well, you know what, it's all these obstacles, it's not all those obstacles. It's just me going, well, what's the truth and what's not the truth? And then discerning the truth from false, and then acting on the truth and discarding the false information. And so we all go through it. Like, we all go through that period where we're going, hey, I know we should be doing this, but I've got responsibilities. I've got all these things. I've got all these bills. I've got all these things that are happening right now that I don't really want to be happening. I hate my life. All these things that pop up into our head. Like, when we learn to silence our mind and just be present and sit, then often at times we have the answers. And sometimes we forget that we have the answers, and then we go and seek out help from people who either can't help us, probably don't care, or we do find that really lucky person who does care and who's willing to help. Those people are also investing their time and energy into you, and then by you going, well, I don't really give a shit, and then completely neglecting what they offer you to help, you're not only wasting their time and their energy, you're wasting your own by not telling yourself the truth in the first place. And so again, it's other obstacles that you put up, other walls that you put up that shouldn't have been built in the first place when you were telling yourself the truth. And so, like, I'll reiterate this again, there aren't any obstacles. You don't have any enemies. The world isn't conspiring around you. Like, there is a lot of garbage media that portrays this world as an evil place, this unfair place, and everything else. Like, I'm not saying that the world is all rainbows and fairies, like, it isn't. But at the same time, if you keep putting that energy out there, that's how you will think, and then that will then dictate your level of execution when it comes to taking risks. Because if you're a person that goes, you know what, oh, look, like, this happened, and look at this, and this, or I'm not sure if I should do this, because then this might happen, and this might happen. Like, you become an if person. What if this, or what if that, and this, and you become a warrior. Like, not a warrior, like, who's ready to fight, but a warrior who constantly worries.
Yeah.
And a person that constantly worries, they have the most obstacles out of anybody else. Because they're worried about that, and they're worried about this thing and that thing, and what someone else is doing that is completely beyond their control. Like, they have more obstacles than obstacles. And so, knowing that the way you think and the way that you surround yourself with things that constantly get you feeling and thinking in a kind of way will make you realize that a lot of the perceived obstacles that you have, they don't really need to be overcome. They probably just need to be acknowledged and go, oh, okay, this is how I feel about what's going on. Here's the truth. And here's what I'm going to do about it. And then go and do it. That's how you overcome any obstacle. That's as simple as it gets. I know, like, my spiel was a bit long-winded, but that's the basic breakdown. Acknowledge the truth. Say that you either are okay or you're not. If you are, fantastic. Use the truth to get ahead. If you're not okay, ask for help. And then don't let the world make you feel like that all hope is lost. You just go out and you go and make it happen. Even if it's slowly, even if it takes you a bunch of years, but you're still taking steps every day to get better. That's how you overcome the obstacles. I think the best analogy that I heard, now I'm paraphrasing, but a smart person figures out that it's not anybody else, right? And a wise person, an intelligent person knows that it's themselves that they have to worry about, and a wise person realizes there's nothing to worry about at all. And so the thing is, when you're perceiving obstacles, you're still at that level where you might believe that someone else is at fault. Because then when you start to peel the layers back and then you go, hey, you know what, everything's my fault, then the only obstacles left will be the ones that you perceive. It's no longer about the environment, it's about what you're thinking about. Then when you're at the level when you're like, well, there's nothing to worry about, you realize that everything that you create is by your own creation, by your own design, and you can redesign it.
Yeah.
And so overcoming obstacles is nothing more than just reprogramming your thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. In case in point, in terms of obstacles, like having just completed 75 hard, it could have, obviously there was Easter, there was a few occasions, like I could have easily seen those things as obstacles to not have even decided to start 75 hard, right? First of all. And second of all, with eating out, like there's obviously there's a choice of foods that you can have at a restaurant, and you could have either the healthy choice or whatever suits your diet, which I elected to do, to follow the plan, or you could see pizza there, chips there, all that sort of food there, could see that as an obstacle for you not following through.
Absolutely.
So it's all about your inner strength and your perception of what an actual obstacle is, or if it's just an excuse for you to eat off your plan or to do anything off the plan that you set out for yourself.
Absolutely. And I know this from personal experience that a lot of the times there have been plans that have been made like where I had no control of the said outcome. Because the plan wasn't made by me, it was made by somebody who I felt either connected to or supported by, and then they went off the plan. And so then that scarred me a little bit, where I just went, hey, you know what, plans don't work. And so I know it's ironic coming from a PT background where I'm telling everyone that plans work. And so with that being said, they do work, but it depends on how you then connect the dots with plans working and doing different things and everything else. And so understanding fundamentally that you're in control of the plans that you make, you're also in control of the outcomes. If someone else makes a plan for you, then yes, I'm that person who has a little bit of an authority complex where if someone else makes a plan for me, then you know what, like, why follow it, right? Like, I can do this myself. Where I've learned, like, through the healing and through the therapy that I've gone through, that other people's plans work too, if you're willing to follow them. And the only reason you wouldn't be willing to follow them is because you're so unsure about yourself that if you were to follow somebody else's plan and things weren't to go through, you'd just be saying to yourself, well, I told you so. You shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. Like, I have a huge inner critic, huge. And so a lot of the time when I'm not following a plan, then I just go, oh, hey, you know what, like, so what? Where when I am following a plan and then the plan doesn't go well, then I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot. Like, why? Like, why the fuck would you do this when you knew that this was going to happen? And that's a huge obstacle mentally, where you're not using that obstacle as just an excuse to justify your actions, but you've had this voice for many, many, many years. And so you know that you could be more than you are, which is what the inner critic voice is for. But for years, I've used that inner critic voice as a charge, as something above me, when I realized that me and it are in this together. We've just been arguing the whole time that in itself was an obstacle that I perceived as an obstacle, where now I just go, dude, like, yeah, right, you're right, or hey, dude, you're wrong, let's go out and do it this way, and we actually work together.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I will say to other people who struggle with this, where if you're struggling either following a plan or you have a huge inner critic that constantly tells you all these obstacles or all these doubts that you might have in your mind, just know that, you know what, they might be right and you might be wrong. And then also, if you guys actually work together, then you have a higher chance of doing what it is that you want than you going up against one another and pitting each other against each other. And so I know as I've done both. Like, I've worked with my inner critic, and then I've also just let my inner critic dictate all the things that I should and shouldn't do. And so I always pick working together, because working together allows me to go, hey, you know what, I have some semblance of control, but then also, hey, you know what, we'll get to the plan faster. We'll get past our perceived obstacles or our excuses, and we win. We all win together, and then help other people win, and help our community win, and help do things better, so that then if we have kids, then we're not projecting our shit onto them. And then also we're doing by leading our kids by example as well, so that then they can grow up and then they can go, hey, you know what, I was positively influenced by my father. I was positively influenced by men in my life who said that they were going to do the work. They had all these obstacles, but they realized that those obstacles were just ways to either pull out of something, or they were also very valid, but they did the job anyway.
Yeah, they did it regardless of the circumstances. That's what
right.
it's about, following through regardless. We don't always have things go our way, but we've got to make do what we've got in front of us and get it done anyway.
It's building compassion and understanding that obstacles do exist, but they don't exist in the way that you think they do. And so when you make this discernment, and it takes time, and lots of inner work as well, where you're understanding that the inner components of you are the only ones in the universe. When you're confined to your mobile phone or your device, you don't take that into account. Like, I was at an event a couple of days ago where there was about 500-600 people, and I was there just in the moment. Like, I wasn't on my phone or anything like that, and it just helped me realize, like, there are a lot of people out here who are so different to me and who are just so involved in their own lives, or at least it looked like they were very involved in their own lives, and they've got all their own story. They've got all their own obstacles that they perceived and that they need to overcome and everything else. Maybe they are going through something at the moment, but it helps you put things into perspective. And so being able to just take that step back allowed for me to really open up more, to really dive in a little bit and go, hey, you know what? I'm here. I'm on Earth. I'm on this planet with all these different people surrounding me, and they've got their own story to tell. They've got their own obstacles that they're overcoming. And this is great, because it shows me that I'm human and I'm not some egocentric maniac who thinks he's perfect, right? And then also not this defenseless, insecure person who thinks he's so imperfect that he's not deserving of anyone. And so, like, that's a spectrum that I'm constantly in. And Paul Mosley talks about that all the time. And so I'm going, okay, at least it's just not me, right? And I'm going, you know what? Obstacles or not, better to live and work through those obstacles and be able to have a story to tell than to go, hey, you know what? This is too much for me. I'm just going to go sit in the corner and wait for my entire life to pass by. Like, those are the two options. And there isn't a third option, because if you're just passively living your life, you're just sitting in the corner without sitting in the corner. When you're actively living your life and you've got obstacles, you've got fears, you've got doubts, you've got guilt, you've got shame, whatever it is, and you still live, but you also actively work on those things so that you improve your own life and improve the lives of others. Welcome to the human experience. Welcome to the human, it's human. Right, like I was having a big conversation with my family a couple of weeks ago, and that came up, and I was just like, dude, welcome to the human experience, pal. Right, like, people do these things. These things happen. People think like this, and other people think like that, and this and this and this. It's not a perfect world, and nor should you expect it to be. And so when it comes to overcoming your own obstacles, it just means working on your own shit and not fleeing that shit on another person and making them feel like that your shit's theirs too. It's not the way it works, and it's a pretty, to me, if you ask me, it's a pretty disgusting way to go about life. And so knowing that the obstacles that you perceive as obstacles are your own control, you have every power to make a decision that's going to change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
And you make that different decision. I see it on your posts all the time that you're posting on the Instagram stories with the daily Stoic excerpts and things like that. Like there was one, I think either today or a couple of days ago, I can't remember, but you're a decision away from a different life. And so just by going, hey, I see this obstacle all the time. I've made this decision in the past, and I've always made this decision ever since, and it's always led me to the same outcome. What if I decided to do something different?
Yeah. What would that do?
What would that do to you?
Yeah.
Right? That might change your entire life. And you know what? Often enough, when I've thought about that question and I've made a different decision, hey, it's changed things for the better.
Yeah.
Today was a fantastic example. I saw people that I knew from the past, right?
Yeah.
Out shopping. And when I see people that I know in public that I haven't spoken to in a long time, I'm just going, do I want to talk to them? Or like, it's been a while and I'm not sure what they're going to say, how they're going to respond to seeing me and this and this and this. So often enough, I didn't speak to people. But now in my mind, I'm just going, dude, like, you're 28, like, you're a human being, they're human, they've got their own stuff that they're going through. Just say hello, you know what, it might make their day.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make their day, you know what, so what?
Yeah.
That's fine, right? And knowing that you can actually go out there and actively act like a human being because you are a human being, dude, that makes you better. And so I went and said hi, and we just had a bit of a chat, and then we left. There wasn't much to it. And that's all there is. Sometimes we just think about it so much that we talk ourselves out of doing something that was probably so easy. Had you had the 60 minutes of overthinking, you could have done it in 3. And so, and a lot of the time, that's what ends up happening. It's like, I'm not sure. It's the anticipation that wears us out. It's not the actual doing of the thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, you're on how many days on the ruck now?
576, I know.
576.
Yeah.
You've done the same thing for 576 days, but you still get mornings where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't know if I want to do it today, right?
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens, but that feeling of, I'm not sure. How long does it last? 3 seconds?
Yeah.
5 seconds?
Yeah, so
right.
No, I can't move, bitch.
But that's what I mean, right? And so you just need to go 5 seconds, right, of letting that emotion pass, acknowledging that emotion, and going, all right, time to get to work. That obstacle that you might be thinking about, whether it's talking to the girl of your dreams or the guy of your dreams, or if it's having that relationship or that serious conversation with your parents, right, about the shit that you went through, or if it's about time that you decided to quit your work and go and do something that you want to do.
Yeah.
That initial 5 seconds of anticipation, of doubt, of going, oh, I don't know, let it pass. Don't consume it. Like, it's not for you to eat. It's not for you to indulge in. It's for you to witness.
Yeah.
And go, I'm human. I do feel doubt. I do feel fear. But it doesn't determine what I do. What I do is determined by me. So I go to do the thing that I need to do. And then if things need changing, I go and change the thing.
Yeah.
I don't calculate for 100 years and then go and do the thing like scientists do. You go and do the thing first and then figure out what's wrong and then change it on the way. Like entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
And so there's validity in both approaches. It's just a matter of discernment. And a lot of time when it comes to obstacles in your mind, it's about discernment. Is it really an obstacle?
Yeah.
Or is it something that I'm just saying to myself so that I can justify my actions?
Yeah.
That's a really honest question that you need to ask. And that's honestly, I think, what it boils down to.
Yeah. I like to envision myself in the way of like envisioning as a bison tackling things head on. The bison, it goes straight through the storm rather than sort of dancing its way around it because it knows it's the quickest and most effective way through the storm. So at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control. We can create, we can control what we eat, what we consume, the way we think, all those sort of things we can control. Outside elements we can't control. All we can do is deal with them as they come across head on the best we can, and not let them become blocks to stop us from doing what we want to do.
I could use some bison right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently it's good to eat as well.
Oh my god. Mate, straight through the storm into our stomachs. Oh man, that's good. No, that's a really awesome example. It's one of those examples that you can always come back to because it's so simple.
Yeah, I just think of that every time I come with a like there's a situation that's sort of probably not 100% comfortable for myself. I just say, look, I'm a bison. I'm just going to tackle it head on.
Have you seen the size of a bison too? Like, I mean, if it's in a snowstorm, like, can you imagine like how hard it would be just for it to turn around? He's just like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to go straight through. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, if I die, I die. Forget it. Whereas humans are a bit more agile. So like they can go around things, and then they're also a bit more calculating. So they'll try and figure something out so that then they don't die. And the thing is, because humans are the only species that are conscious of their mortality, then it makes it that much more. Where animals, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, oh, hey, I'm here. Oh, shit, there's a lion. And see ya. And if they're the bigger animal, they go, oh, food. And then they're just there. And it's like, that's really how simple it is for humans sometimes. It's just that we have this amazing ability of consciousness. And so being able to use it to our benefit and not to our detriment is a really important skill. And so understanding that obstacles are just things that we see and things that are part of the equation, not the entire equation, they're part of the equation. It's like saying you're not in your own way, you're on your way, right? And so this part of the journey where you feel stuck, where there's obstacles, that's part of the way through. That is going, oh, hey, I'm at this point in my journey. Cool, all right, what am I going to learn here? What am I supposed to be doing here that's going to help me move forward in my journey? Not, oh my God, like I'm stuck and I can't do all these things because like X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada. Like, I know, so I consumed that mentality for years. Like, and so I know it sucks because I did nothing and I stayed stuck. Where I realized, oh, hey, you know what? Being stuck is part of the journey. Being stuck is part of being human. Being unsure is being part of human. Being afraid is being part of human. Once you humanize things and you're not measuring based off your success or metrics of success, and you're just measuring it off a human experience standpoint where you're allowed to feel this spectrum of emotions and you're allowed to just be within and be present with these experiences that are all happening at once and all these possibilities that are all happening at once, there aren't really any obstacles at all. It's just a matter of understanding what's what. And then again, who knows what's what, because everyone perceives things differently. And so I would say, my personal opinion, if you want to overcome obstacles, take a look at yourself first and go, what is really in my way? And then you'll list all these things. I recommend you write this down. What's in your way? And then you list all these things. And then you look at the list and you go, oh, okay, if I know that if I do this, then this won't be obstacle.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
Like, and if I know that I just think about it in a different way and accept the way this thing is, I can cross that off. And then you work down the line and you realize there weren't any obstacles to begin with. And so that's the one activity I suggest you do. If you're struggling with overcoming obstacles, just write down all the obstacles and just acknowledge that they're there. And then once that feeling of fear just dissipates, because now it's no longer in your mind, it's actually on a piece of paper, then there is really nothing left except to do the thing. And that's as simple as it is.
Yeah, just take it day at a time.
That's exactly what the motto is for, right?
Yeah. And I read a quote the other day. It was something like, don't worry about what you harvested today, but the seeds that you planted.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, the plants you seed today isn't the fruit that you're going to eat today either. Like, that's the fruit that you're going to eat in a year's time when it actually harvests. Right? And so if you are planting seeds today, just ask yourself, which seeds are you planting? Are you planting the seeds of abundance and joy and love? Or are you planting the seeds of doubt and fear? If you are planting seeds of doubt and fear, well, where do you think the obstacles come from?
Yeah.
Joy, love. Like, if love, there isn't an obstacle to love. Like, if you're loving to somebody, there isn't any judgment, there isn't any obstacle. You just go and love. That's why kids are so loving, because they don't understand yet what consciousness means. They're just pure possibility. And so they go depending on their environments and their circumstances as well, which they don't yet understand. But I've met a kid at my work, where I work, who is just pure joy. Like, she would come, like, I'd started working at my new job 3 days, and I met this little 6-year-old girl who just hugged me. I've never met her in my life before. Right? She's never met me, but she figured out that I started working here, and because where I work is one big family, she just gave me a big hug. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, you showed me what it looks like to not only love unconditionally, but you also really, really pointed out to me in the living flesh that there aren't any obstacles. It's just you. It's just you.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
I think it sums it up. It's just you, guys. It really, really is. I would say that if you're someone who struggles to either acknowledge that or to believe that, get help. Like, talk to somebody, talk to someone you trust, talk to someone who might be able to help you in a professional manner, and talk to somebody who will not be judging. I think the best way to find that person is look for two things. One, they're not upset, but like, they're sad, like when you're sad, and they're not laughing at your misfortune. And then also they celebrate when you win. They're not jealous, they're not anything except for, hey, I want to see my boy or girl win. And so when you can find those people, have that talk about that self-acknowledgement and be able to be honest, so that then you can get the best help that you need. And then just take a good look in the mirror and just say, hey, look, I'm me, and I'm not happy with the way things are right now, but I know they'll get better because I have the power to make it so.
Yeah, you're in control.
You're in full control. That's it for today, guys. I hope you learned something and that I wasn't just rambling, and that you subscribe to our channel. And if you like content like this, just make sure you follow our social media pages, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one, guys.